Hey, what nuts, all you beautiful, nice, kind what nuts. It is Wednesday, December 18th in the United States and Canada, and we're going to do a show for you, and we're going to call it What Chaos. It'll be presented by Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code What Chaos. Get $50 instantly when you play $5. Prize Picks, run your game. Very exciting things today. I'm excited to talk to Pete Blackburn because he sits next to me. So there, and then over there is Sean, Mr. 11. DePaz. Hi, Sean.
Hey, howdy, yeah.
Nothing to see here.
Not
Sabres at 11. We do not have googly eyes yet. We've decided off the air, anytime we're going to talk about the Sabres from here on out, because Pete has quit the Sabres for good, we are going to put on googly eyes to at least make it a little more visually interesting.
Next topic, please.
Okay. How about you give us all the topics, Pete? What's on the show today?
I'm ready to do it. Let's hit it. Today on the show, visually stunning. I'm not really sure what that is, but I'm excited to find out. Canadians heating up, question mark? They had a big win last night. The Canadians back on track, baby. Jake Guentzel, he's got us twisted, and somebody's pulling receipts. I think there are going to be some receipts pulled about Guentzel and the Tampa Bay Lightning. I am personally not excited for that segment because I know what my stance was, and it is not going to look good for me. And finally, Jason Bourne joins the show. Justin Bourne from Sportsnet. I love him. I love that guy. Been wanting to have him on for a little while. Hasn't worked out scheduling-wise, but today's the day, baby. Justin Bourne joins the show. Going to be a good one.
Okay. On the Montreal Canadiens, they played a game last night, a home one, 6-1 victory, ran their opponent out of the building. It was amazing. I thought of the love of your life and touched my heart when Uri scored. But
I also thought of the love of your life and sort of punch in the air.
You were watching the Canadiens last night.
I was.
I watched the Canadiens game last night.
We all checked out the Canadiens.
They put up a lot of goals. I can't remember his name, but he was a really good goalie.
They kicked off the Slate at 7 p.m. last night. We wanted to watch that to see if the Canadians were heating up, and we got our answer. We got Patrick Laine. A hat trick Laine. It's when you spell hat trick, you leave off the C because he's not C material. That's what we love about Patrick Laine.
Give him the C.
You don't want. We're arriving at things are right in the world of Patrick Laine's NHL existence. Stop thinking. I thought about this with Taylor Hall yesterday.
Oh, like you don't want him to be the guy?
Like Taylor Hall can be the guy. He was the guy in New Jersey. You are in good shape if Taylor Hall is the wise veteran. With the Montreal Canadiens, they are in good shape if Patrick Laine is the fun hockey player. This is going to be a lofty comparison. Jaromir Jagr. I wasn't tossing letters on that guy.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, famously, he did have a letter, like at a lot of places.
Oh, no, he wore letters.
He had a C at one point.
But I'm not putting letters.
Probably wouldn't want.
He's not there to wear letters.
He's a lead by example kind of guy, though.
Guy famously skates after the games.
Hits the bikes a lot.
Game ends. Well, everybody's supposed to hit the bike. It's very nice if Jaromir Jagr is... What's the reference there?
That he would like constantly be on the bike after games, like until like 2 a.m.
You know what I don't know if this is the case for every NHL team, but a kind of like rule of thumb is for whether you ride the bike after the game or not.
Isn't it based off of ice time?
Yeah. Under 10 minutes, you're on the bike, which very fair.
Trent Frederick barely escaped the bike last night.
Really? Did he end up getting over 10 minutes?
Yeah, but it was he barely played like the last half of that game.
Bruins heating up.
Oh yeah, baby.
They're a good overtime team. I knew they were going to win in overtime.
They're good. They're good. We get crazy embarrassed and then immediately pull me back in kind of guy.
Okay, I'll take that. Visually stunning, by the way, meant there were a lot of good visuals last night. There were great little clips of things. There were funny glimpses at the play-by-play. We're going to talk about a really fun Luke Schenn thing in a little bit. But my favorite thing that I saw last night was Pyotr Kochetkov. And you get to ask which Pyotr Kochetkov thing, because he tried to make a save in a shutout victory, by the way. He got a shutout against, I want to say, would they play the Islanders?
That's not impressive.
Yeah, Islanders. Puck coming in, and he went like this and just threw his stick at it.
Up in the air. So if anybody is listening on audio, Pyotr Kochetkov looked up to the heavens and tried to give God his stick.
Yeah, he was it was very like throwing a gun at somebody.
Am I incorrect here? That's a penalty, right?
If you throw your stick at somebody?
I think if you throw your equipment at the puck,
penalty shot.
That is a penalty.
I don't know. If you throw your stick at somebody and they're doing anything, it's a penalty shot.
Right, but I think that if you throw your equipment at the puck, I want to say that it is a penalty.
It happened in like an all-star game at one point a while ago, and they called a penalty on somebody because it was obviously an all-star game, and somebody had a breakaway, and the back checker just threw a stick at him.
A minor penalty shall be assessed to any player on the ice who shoots or throws any portion of their stick or equipment in any other object in the direction of the puck or to a teammate. I think in Kochetkov's case, he has plausible deniability, which maybe lost his stick, which is the most officials don't know ball moment in the history of the NHL. If it looks like he might have been throwing something, he was throwing something. Pyotr Kochetkov.
What? Yeah, but the plausible deniability that comes into play there too is that I guess it could work either way. That like Kochetkov always gets rid of his stick.
We found or somebody tagged me in a thing where there's a Twitter account that just gives an update every time Kochetkov doesn't have a stick anymore. And there are a million entries. I think there was like 38 so far this season. And it's just like, this date, Pyotr Kochetkov dropped his stick. This date, stick went flying. This date, threw his stick.
I need somebody. I know that's a lot. I need a comparison. Like, how much does the average goalie lose their stick? Because I feel like it is not often. It's not nearly that often.
I know Jordan Binnington frequently loses his stick.
Yeah, but he's in the same.
Again, not beating the absolutely batshit insane allegations if the two people in this category.
How much does a normal
Kochetkov
goalie?
and Binnington? But yeah, I think Binnington loses his stick quite a bit, loses his temper quite a bit. But Kochetkov is like just. We've said this before. Like we seem to sniff things out pretty quickly. Sniffed out that this guy's fucking batshit crazy very quickly.
I'll be honest, that was you. I thought that he was just a pretty bad goalie. Hand up, he's the best goalie. We had a real bonding moment in the first period of Hurricanes at Utah HC, in which we were marveling at the second chances that were coming from that there wasn't a first chance. The guy just, again, high event player. Folks, what do we talk about? What do we like? I like a moose, but we all like high event players. This guy makes events where there was no event.
We are just high event fans. If there's a lot happening around you, whether it's a team or a player, we're big fans of you.
If and when we 10 years, something happens, whatever, we get the band back together, we do the show again, but for some reason, somebody owns What Chaos, even though legally we own What Chaos. We have to change the name. High event players.
I like that. There's also there's content idea and possibilities with high event, and it just involves us being on lots of drugs.
He also ran out and did his Pyotr Van Beesbroek thing again.
That's more like standard fare though for Pyotr Kochetkov. Like, it's fun when goalies do it. It's less fun when Pyotr Kochetkov just goes and slides across the ice trying to make a play on a puck, because if you don't get that from him any night, you're disappointed.
Yeah. Sorry, Sean, I just texted you something about Jesus is Jesus. The thing that I sent you. for when we talk about the Rangers. There's a lot of good tweets about the Rangers that we're going to talk about.
I did see. I sent Jesus chimed in on the Rangers last night. That's how you know things are getting
not the
bad.
only one.
Not the only one. There were a lot of people chiming in on the Rangers. The Blackhawks won their second straight. I see you. And in this game, right, the Blackhawks game was the Capitals, correct?
Yep. The unbelievably staggering standings performers, the Washington Capitals. We know that we've known all season that they've been good. I laid eyes on the standings and noticed the Capitals, I think for the first time in a while last night, and I was like, holy shit.
Really? So I was looking up some stuff on how good the Tampa Bay Lightning are, and we'll talk about them in a little bit. And what stood out to me is that the Tampa Bay Lightning have the second best goal differential in the Eastern Conference, and I thought, who has the best? And it's the Washington Capitals. They are an impenetrable, amazing team, but they did fall to the Chicago Blackhawks last night. The visually stunning element of this game was that in the second period, the Capitals took a too many men on the ice penalty. And as you will see from the graphic there, so at 8:27, they took a too many men on the ice penalty. Puck knowers know that that is a 2-minute minor. So that penalty should expire at, let's say, 10:27. At 10:38, the Washington Capitals took a too many men on the ice penalty, which means essentially someone got out of the box and someone got off the bench. That is so cool to me.
It is extremely cool, but I like to envision, I didn't see this happen, but I do like to envision that they misunderstood the assignment, and when the penalty expired, somebody was allowed to come off the bench. And at the same time, the guy came out of the penalty box. And so they immediately had 6 guys back on the ice again.
Is that better for penalty box stuff? I know that with the Darnell Nurse event that happened on Monday, there was Darnell Nurse was high event on Monday, and one of the things was he had a breakaway out of the penalty box and fell down during it. And you hadn't seen the play yet. You just saw it described as
Darnell Nurse falls coming out of the penalty box. And I was
falls on breakaway out of the penalty box or something.
No, it was just Darnell Nurse falls coming out of the penalty box.
Yeah.
And so I was like, ooh, I'm very interested in this clip. I would love to see a guy just fall out of the penalty box. No, he came out of the penalty box, got a breakaway, and then fell in the offensive zone, basically tripped across the blue line. That's way less cool than falling out of the penalty box. Describe it more accurately, please.
Is it more embarrassing or less embarrassing to have a breakaway, be on your feet, and then choke in front of the
I think
whole
it's definitely,
world?
I think the most embarrassing thing you can do is trip literally as you're hitting the ice.
Couldn't he argue atrophy?
That's true.
He's sitting down.
Yeah, just those muscles got real cold in the penalty box.
Sean, can you look up when atrophy kicks in? Because this wasn't his 4-minute stint in the penalty box from earlier in the game when he got teed up. This was just 2 minutes. But who knows? There might have been a commercial break in there, a TV timeout. He could have had lots of atrophy. The back-to-back too many men on the ice thing is good because it's the Capitals. If this happened to your Boston Bruins, it would be lame, continued, like, what's wrong with these guys? We don't ask what's wrong with the Washington Capitals when we see that. We see that and we say, good.
Cool.
Just what I suspected.
Yeah. Cartoonish behavior. We want the Caps to be more cartoony. Like, I love that they're having a ton of success. They need to mix in a little bit of shithousery at some point, and that was a really good example of it. By the way, you mentioned the Chicago Blackhawks have won 2 straight games. Per our friend Mark Lazarus of The Athletic, they have not won 3 straight games since February of 2023.
I did mean to sneak that in there. They have not won 3 straight games this year.
Very winnable game on Thursday against the Seattle Kraken.
That's going to be a big moment. The Rangers, speaking of teams the Blackhawks have beaten, the Rangers lost to the Preds last night, and there's a lot to work with here. There's an incredible stat that Arthur Staples threw out there. The Rangers have lost to the 32nd place team in the NHL twice the last 8 days.
Can I add something that makes that
2
even
different
funnier?
teams.
At the same time, they have won a game at MetLife Stadium more recently than the New York Giants.
Oh, that's incredible.
Wait, the Giants haven't won a single game at MetLife this
in like
year?
2 seasons.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
That's
I think it goes back
crazy
to
stat.
fall of 2023.
I was at that game.
Yeah. More last time you saw a home team winning at MetLife. Well,
Giants
the Jets have,
unbelievable.
but
I also
yeah.
saw Jonas Brothers.
hell yeah.
Giants are dreadful right now, and I don't know if do you know if their game this week against the Falcons is at home or on the road?
Oh, it's got big ramifications for you, doesn't it?
I've got big ramifications. Famously, my entire fantasy football team is an Atlanta Falcons stack for some reason.
It's in Atlanta. So it's tough. A little tough.
Well, this is Michael Penix. We're all Michael Penix guys, right?
We're all
Yeah.
Penix heads.
Penix's first start. I mean, we're Penix guys, though. Oh, you're a Texas guy, too.
Mhm.
The thing of...
I'm a Pac-12 guy, though, too, so I used to watch it.
When someone cooks your team and
Respect.
they can kind of move on with their life and do something else, you always like them. You like Thomas Vanek, you gotta.
Yeah. I mean, I never was against Michael Penix. Like he shredded Texas last year, and it was just super impressive.
Okay. Rangers have lost to the 32nd place team in the NHL twice the last 8 days. The Blackhawks, and then last night, the Preds.
That's the funny. That it's way funnier. That's two separate teams.
Well, the Preds being 32nd in the NHL is horrifying. Like, oh my goodness. In that game, Luke Schenn was credited with 6 shots on goal in 3 seconds. Look at that play-by-play. It is stunning. Visually stunning. I pulled up the clip, and we've watched it a couple of times. We can't play it on the show, but we're watching it right now. How many do you think he's actually getting here? Because I'm giving him 3.
I think he gets more than 3. I think he gets 3 in rapid succession. 1, 2, 3. That's 3 right there. So 4.
I give him
maybe
5.
5.
I give him 5.
Like he's got a whiff on one of those attempts, but he does take 6 hearty whacks at it.
Yeah, I think he gets like 4 in like quick succession, and then he kind of gets like a 5th one as it gets a little messier.
I'll tell you what, there's not enough there for me to overturn it or say that they're wrong in that he got 6 shots in 3 seconds.
And
6 seems a little generous.
I'll
but
also argue, and again, this is Luke Schenn who's doing this, which is fantastic. Like, why is Luke Schenn there?
It's because he's playing the New York Rangers.
It's all
they
right
let you
in
go wherever you want.
Yes, it's all right in the Zach Hyman zone. And what I'll say is, I'm getting 1, 2, 3. If you get to 5 in your mind, give him 6.
Oh yeah,
You get a bonus if you are Luke Schenn getting, and this is against Igor Shesterkin. Typically, the guy's not giving up a lot of 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th chances.
Well, I mean, he doesn't even move in that sequence because why would he? None of those are going in. He's just holding down the fort, racking up the saves. May as well just pad the stats. I don't know like what Luke Schenn's shot total would be.
I'm looking
on the
up
betting
right
market.
now. What was his shot total in that game?
No, but I'm just saying, like, if you were a betting man and you threw some money on Luke Schenn's shot totals from last night,
alternate Luke Schenn shot went over 5.5.
if it was anywhere over like 2.5, it's crazy. But the idea of watching that and being like, wow, just cash my bet in 3 seconds would be unbelievable.
I mean, respectfully, that was me with my ridiculous oil man parlay on Saturday. I was like, all right, gang, let's do it. Gonna have, Dreisaitl's, they're gonna, and I texted you, I was like, if Stu gets a shutout, he fucks me, but he's not gonna get a shutout.
That's not an official cash in 3 seconds.
Yeah, that's true. That was amazing. I'm pulling up right now. How many shots on goal did
Johnny Lazarus in the chat asking if we're talking New York Rangers? No, we're talking Luke Schenn.
No,
Open your ears, pal.
Yeah, we're talking about Luke. I can't find it. But actually, I can just do this. Let's do the tweets though about the Rangers, since Johnny Lazarus asked. We have.
Were you looking for Luke Schenn shots?
Yes.
Last night?
Yeah.
7.
That's tough.
That's tough
He did a majority of his work in 3 seconds.
That is tough luck.
That's awesome. I mean, we don't really have this, but I know that a lot of 9 to 5ers are like, here's what I do. I do this, and then like my work is done for the day, and then I can just coast the next X amount of hours. That's what Luke Schenn did. They got to pay him that other $2 million, even if he does a bad job the rest of the game.
I mean, to be fair, I don't think they're paying Luke Schenn to pepper the net with shots on goal.
I'm loving the chat right now. People being like, Johnny, they're talking about Luke Schenn. Would you pay attention? We usually talk
Seriously,
about Luke Schenn.
Open your ears, pal. Luke Schenn podcast.
Amazing stuff. Love of Your Life is hopping out. We love you. We're very happy that your eye scored for you against that opponent. But can we see the Deezus tweet from last night? From Deezus Nice, we all love him. New York Rangers are cooked, steamed, flambéed, all of that. I've been on a big, I don't know about all of that, or I don't know about all that kick recently. The use of cooked, steamed, flambéed, all of that, Jesus. I mean, the guy's got away with words.
He really does. I was just going to say, like, I feel like nobody on Twitter packs a punch with as few words as he does.
Man.
No real fat on any of those tweets.
So here's what you got going for you, Sean. You are a fan of the Canadiens' opponent from last night.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Bill Fichtner is out here on Twitter.
I don't think so either, but I kind of like it that way.
The only tweet, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's good for you. Like, the only tweet, the only celebrity tweet there's been about the Canadiens' opponent was Bob Dylan saying he did not go to see that team.
That is true.
Whereas when you're the Rangers, you got eyes on you, brother. You've got like Deezus. I don't think Mero really cares about them. But what Mero's doing? What podcast is he doing?
Mello.
With Mello.
Yes, he's doing
We
Mello's.
were watching it. Well, kind of.
Yeah.
I was watching it.
So that's a
in
sick
Utah.
gig. But there was also, and granted, I did not see what the tweet was, but I do know Sarah Palin weighed in on the New York Rangers, reposting what I posted last week because New York Rangers top brass isn't just listening to the sage advice from this hockey mom in, what does it say?
In Wasilla?
In Wasilla.
Oh.
It's now or never for seismic shakeup to salvage season. There's a muscle. There's a goal. What's in the middle?
A boxing glove.
A boxing glove.
So,
so she wants him to call up Rempe.
She wants Matt Rempe back.
No,
in
that
the
is
lineup.
what it is. It is a quote tweet of her posting a video of Matt Rempe, or she is posting. It's like a video that she posted on her Instagram story of Matt Rempe, like putting his hand up to his ear after a fight, and it says it has a poll under it. It says, "Want more Rempe style, old school, fierce and fervor?" ? And then the options are yes, NHL needed this. No, I don't like alpha males on the ice. Those were the two options.
Oh my God. Just really packing a punch, no pun intended, with just horrible hockey narratives here.
Rangers, you got to do something because now Palin's on your case.
She also tagged Matt Rempe in it and said he alone punched it up a notch.
This is bad, Rangers.
Things
you got
are so bad right
You got
now.
so much attention on you right now. The heat is too hot. Do something. Get Palin off
You know
your
how many
case.
goals the New York Rangers scored last night against the Nashville Predators?
1.
The answer would be 0.
They got shut out?
They got shut out by the Rangers last night. I don't think that Matt Rempe, notorious goal scorer, is the solution to their problems.
I don't know. Sarah Palin said so. She can see Russia from her house.
Fantastic. Okay, we have to get to this. Jake Guentzel scored in his 7th straight game last night. He has 9 goals in his last 7 games. He has the most points by a UFA this season. He's got 33 points on the season. The only person, or second, is Jake DeBrusk. So great returns there for Jake Guentzel. Sean, could you throw up this comparison? Steven Stamkos versus Jake Guentzel, because this was a big topic this offseason of they chose to let their captain go and they prioritized a different wing because Stamkos kind of is a wing at this point in his career. And look at it there. Stamkos 34 got 4 times $8 million in Nashville. They gave Guentzel 7 times $9 million in Tampa. And to this point, 33 points for Jake Guentzel, 18 points for Steven Stamkos. Obviously, things have not been going great in Nashville. See the standings. But things, man, like 18 goals for Guentzel, 15 assists, 33 points. This has been an awesome get for them. And in fairness, Pete, we were critical and questioning of the Lightning with what they did this offseason. We didn't really have a problem with Guentzel. We thought they're going to have an absolutely sick first line.
Yeah.
What's going to be the rest of the team? But so far, the Stamkos out, Guentzel in, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, slam dunk.
Yeah. I mean, like, you kind of nailed it there. Like, the problem wasn't Jake Guentzel. The problem was the roster construction. You're paying the third best player on your top line $9 million per year, which is an insane thing to do. But, like, Jake Guentzel is probably the third best player on his line in the entire National Hockey League, if that makes any sense, if we're keeping track of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at $9 million for 7 years, I didn't love it. I don't like building teams through the wing. Like, I don't know if we're going to get to the pulling the receipts thing, right? But, like, the problem was, in my mind, they weren't strong enough down the middle. They weren't strong enough depth-wise, and they were only getting older. Like, I guess that's not true if you're replacing Steven Stamkos with a younger player, but I don't know. Like, I'm still a little stunned that this is working so well for the Tampa Bay Lightning.
And no shame in making a lot of money or being a high-profile player when you are the worst player on your line. At some point, either Patrice Bergeron or David Pastrnak was the worst player on their line. And you know what? Things were just dandy as long as you have the depth to produce when those guys aren't on the ice. And we questioned that. We questioned a lot about this team. We will pull the receipts on ourselves to ask whether or not we've kind of chunked it on the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Before we do that, I do want to acknowledge somebody in the chat says Ryan McDonagh has been unreal. And I don't think that any of us saw that coming, like, being so important. And I think that, I forget who we were talking to. Maybe it was Merrick, who was like, how much do the Nashville Predators miss Ryan McDonagh?
Oh, yes, it was Merrick.
And it's a really good point. And I never really considered how important Ryan McDonagh was to Nashville and now Tampa.
Yeah, I mean, bring Ryan McDonagh back. We hit on so many things. And granted, if you watched the full preview, we didn't pillory them. You kind of pilloried them. I didn't. I was just more questioning why. What's actually going to happen here? I was the only person who liked the Lightning last year, who didn't care that they were top heavy, because ultimately the end result in the regular season, I should say, was like they scored goals, they suppressed goals, and like special teams were good. They kind of hit all the basic metrics. Cool, that's fine. Cup winner, didn't think they were going to be that, but I thought
beating the Panthers.
What's that?
You had them beating the Panthers.
I had them beating the Panthers. I thought the shakeup was a little too shaky this offseason, but here is just like 40 seconds of our preview. Why the fuck did you have this offseason, you weird Tampa Bay Lightning? Why did you do this?
I really like Anthony Cirelli as a player. Really, really like him.
Second line center?
Not as my second line center. Him being your second line center, I just don't know if he's got the offensive upside to warrant it.
After losing Steven Stamkos, do we do a window check with these guys?
I'll change it from a window to a sliding door. Ooh. They're either going to run straight into the house, which the house is the playoffs, or hit glass. And maybe they sneak in banged up, or maybe they end up still on the outside and bloodied.
Okay, Anthony Cirelli we've talked about Anthony Cirelli this season. Has it?
Oh, point per game player.
Well,
just below
27 points in 28 games. If he were a point per game player, he would join 1,000 other players on the Tampa Bay Lightning, because they've got, let's see, Nikita Kucherov, 47 points in 27 games. Wasn't a question. Braden Point, 37 points in 25 games. Wasn't a question. Brandon Hagel, 36 points in 29 games. Jake Guentzel, 33 points in 29 games. Anthony Cirelli, 27 in 28. And even that, like, Victor Hedman, we questioned too. We said, at what point does Father Time start to sneak up on him? Maybe not this year. How about definitely not this year? 25 points in 27 games. A lot of guys having really, really good seasons. Connor Geekie is, I would say, not killing it, but Connor Geekie is part of this. He kind of has to be after the Sergachev trade. They are on pace to finish second or third in the Atlantic, which is great because I think that we had them bubble-ish.
Yeah.
Although you said there's some scenario in which
they can just run into the house.
They can just run into the house, which I love that phrasing. I love looking at it that way. They are so much better. They have the second best goal differential in the Eastern Conference. The only team better than them in that regard is the perfect Washington Capitals. So if you want to question that stat, explain why the Capitals have such a cool number there.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to be a very top-heavy team, you may as well have the best line in hockey and like a really good second line. Like, shout out to Anthony Cirelli. Apologies for doubting you and what you could bring offensively, but I've been highly impressed by what he's surprised me with this season.
Do we owe them an apology?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like,
we owe them such an apology.
Yeah.
I think there are two teams about which we and maybe many were kind of flippant. I think
Lightning fans were pissed that they disrespected Steven Stamkos, let him walk out the door. They've been pretty quiet. I think that they were sort of not on our side, but like they understood where maybe there was a way to look at this and be like, you shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have done that. But when it works out and when the returns are as good as they are, or they have been with Guentzel on that top line, you say, okay, I apologize. I was wrong. Puck.
Cut for time, because I just think we had more interesting things in that little clip, was me saying, I'm putting a heart future on Steven Stamkos. I don't know how big a heart future I'm putting on him, but there is a small chance that he is just going to go so scorched earth that, yes, he's able to put up otherworldly numbers. He hasn't. I hope you have not watched the show to this point and are just turning it on and don't see how much he hasn't. But also, like, Guentzel has been awesome. So when his numbers are next to Stamkos's, it looks a little uglier.
Final point here, I still don't believe in them as a playoff team. Like, I still, unless Andrei Vasilevsky turns it on and is like an all generational goaltender heading into the playoffs, I'm still going to have major concerns about their depth and kind of what they bring down the middle. And, like, I don't know, like maybe their age on defense.
We'll ask Justin Bourne about this in just 1 second. But first, I must tell you about Prize Picks, the only real money daily fantasy platform with all the stuff you want. I'm talking Drewski. I'm talking Sean O'Malley. I'm talking injury insurance. So say your lineup will stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. If your player leaves in, say, the first half of his game and does not return, or their game, Prize Picks keeps your lineup live. And as I said, you can play along Drewski, Joe Budden, Sean O'Malley. You can now find community plays under the promo tab of the app to view entries from some of the biggest names in the Prize Picks community each week. Prize Picks puts its members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. 2 Prize Picks days we have coming up. Tomorrow, Thursday in the United States and Canada, we are prize picking. We're DFSing we're going to do a little potpourri on more than for certain opponents of the Boston Bruins, correct?
Mm-hmm.
We see that being a bloodbath, although if it goes into overtime, Bruins are a good overtime team.
Yeah.
They give a good 5-minute effort.
They have Pavel Zacha. Yeah, they're a 5-minute team. They have Pavel Zacha and David Pastrnak.
I love that Pavel Zacha is an OT merchant.
Yeah.
Terrific. So if you want to do over Pavel Zacha overtime points, 1.5, maybe you get a goblin there. Or that'd be a demon, Sean?
That'd be a demon.
Yeah.
That'd be a demon because it's a little less likely to happen.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is there like a governor, like an owners meeting coming up where they could maybe tweak what they allowed to do there? We're going to ask Justin Bourne about the NHL's rules in just a minute. But first, I'd like you to download the app, Prize Picks that is, and use code WhatChaos. Get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code WhatChaos to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game.
We'd also like you to download the Game Time app, because Game Time is the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. They're obsessed with finding ways to help you save money on tickets. I use them for tickets this weekend. I'm going to be in Montreal. I'm going to see the Red Wings playing the Canadiens at Bell Center, my first Bell Center experience. I'm very, very excited about that. Got my tickets on Game Time with the exclusive flash deals and the sponsored deals. They got tickets not just for hockey, but for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and basically anything else that you could want to get tickets for. And with zone deals, you pick the section and Game Time picks the seats for an average of 18% savings. And the Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you not only 100%, 110% of the difference. They're giving you money back. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHAOS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHAOS, CHAOS, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Question: did you use Game Time or did you use tomsdejeu.ca?
No, I use Game Time.
This guy.
This guy. Oh my God.
I tweeted my it's a beautiful day for the Montreal Canadiens opponent last night that I always tweet. I tweeted it in French.
Oh.
C'est belle journée.
When I was a beat writer, I followed a bunch of, and I still do follow a bunch of Canadian reporters, and they, back in the day, Twitter, like, beat writers would just live tweet games.
Yeah.
Which I guess there was value in it. I would do it. It was just, I look back and I'm like, what were we thinking? Who needed it? But one game I just did it in French because I thought it was so cool that like all the Canadians writers would do it. I'd have no idea what they were saying. So I would just hammer in Google Translate. It probably wasn't taking, but man, tomsdejeu.ca. Don't go to that website in case it's bad. Go to Sportsnet because there you will find Justin Bourne, who at long last, oh, look at him, is joining What Chaos. Hi, Justin. How are you?
I'm great. I got to tell you guys, that was one of the most insane 5 minutes that you guys actually showed video of yourselves being wrong. Like I grew up watching Don Cherry doing the complete opposite. That was really electric. I loved it.
Burn the tape? Did John Cherry burn the tape?
Yeah. Don used to run it back. Anything he got right, you would start the segment watching Don be right.
No, that's the worst. That's horrible behavior. Nobody wants to see people take victory laps. They want to see people be wrong, and they want to be able to yell at them.
Yeah, no, and Don is gone. Those things are related.
I mean, our dear friend Mike Felger says whenever people say, like, why don't you do big picture this, blah, blah, he'll just always say, we have a show to do today. If the team is struggling today, we will say the team is struggling. And even if they're going to be fine in a month, when they're fine in a month, we will talk about how they're fine. We have a show to do today. So on that day, we thought Anthony Cirelli was going to get cut and was a bad player and that the Lightning were going to be relocated. I think there was talk of Arizona at the time. Can't remember, but that was that, and this is now.
And I don't even think we mentioned Brandon Hagel, but now on Team Canada. So, like,
yeah,
crazy.
Outrageous. On that, how do you feel about the Tampa Bay Lightning? Do we owe them apology based on what you had seen from our very not burned tape?
Yeah, well, in your defense, I mean, a lot of us kind of had them wrong. I don't know if you owe them an apology, but like I think in terms of like goal differential, which means a lot to me, I think it tracks pretty well the good teams and bad. I want to say they're second best in the NHL, plus 32, something way up there. So yeah, I think they would be surprised by how good they've done this season. It's been a year of overachieving for them. I'm with you though. Like I don't know, Pete, that this is going to be a team that you're like, oh, this is a real Stanley Cup contender, but there's no doubt anymore this is, at the very least, a team that's going to run into the house, whether they're bloodied or not, through the door.
The only way that I can see them like really, really being able to make a run at it is if they can turn stamina off and just play that first line the entire game.
Yeah, and that seems a little bit unlikely. The one thing they have going for them is I do believe Cooper's the best coach in the NHL. Like whatever it is he's got going on there culture-wise, you guys remember for years, like the Penguins, the Bruins are a great example of a team that just whoever they put in there is pretty good. It's kind of Tampa Bay for me now. I was listening to you guys and checking out like their leading scorers, and like Mitchell Chaffee is like 7th. And it's like, okay, it's just another Cooper guy they've created out of nowhere.
He's incredible. One of the things we were going to talk about later, but I just think it just makes sense now, is the Jeff Merrick report that after 2019, in which the Lightning had a record-setting season, Kucherov won Hart, and they flamed out in the first round against the Blue Jackets and got swept. They discussed Kucherov. This is per Jeff Merrick. They discussed Kucherov and stuff, possibly Anthony Cirelli, for Leon Draisaitl. And I know that all of us have thoughts on that, but what is your reaction to the fact that like the Kucherov thing could have ended?
Yeah, what is disgust? What is disgust really? That's such a loose thing. Like, I I was fortunate to spend a little bit of time with the Leafs, just a couple of years cutting video and stuff. So I got to sit in the room as like someone no one wanted to hear from, but just got to be there and hear like Babcock and Shanahan and those guys kick things around. And they discuss a lot of things, but like there's so many levels from like, would you do this? Which happens on a plane like you and I are discussing right now versus like, would you really do this? Like, would they have pushed that button? So yeah, like that'd have been nuts. On the other hand, Draisaitl is insane and a huge talent, and maybe it wouldn't have been that crazy. But I think in these cases, they discussed it is probably accurate, but doesn't really mean they thought about doing it.
It's also like the rare case of 5 years later, I think both teams would look back on that and say, thank God we didn't do that. Like both teams would have that stance. And I don't think that in these crazy hypothetical trades that ever happens 5 years later. Usually it's one side that'd be like, fuck, I really wish we could, like the Draisaitl
the Canadians wanted Draisaitl for Subban.
Yeah, like the Canadians, fuck, I wish we could have got. Also, how many crazy hypothetical trades is Leon Draisaitl going to be involved in?
I just think it's like the thing of, and we saw this, remember last year, a Boston person was watching the Bruins play the Oilers, not knowing a ton about the rest of the league, and was like, the Bruins should trade Ullmark for Leon Draisaitl. They should get that guy because he's not like the number one guy. Like maybe they'll trade their second best player. I don't know how good is their second best player. I don't know. All we hear about is McDavid, and it's like teams maybe tried to be like, hey, since McDavid is your guy, could Draisaitl be our guy? Like
no, he's the second best player on our team and the second best player in the league.
What did he won a Hart Trophy 9 minutes after that discussion, I think. Like
that's the best part about it, that it was that they would have been trading. One of the players discussed was about to be handed the Hart Trophy, and then the other one was about to go and win the Hart Trophy. That's amazing and fantastic. Another cool ramification of it, though, not cool. I probably wouldn't like hockey right now if that trade happened, because my love for the Oilers, and I'm obviously a huge Draisaitl guy, would not have been enhanced, because you got to think if they're trading for Nikita Kucherov, they're not signing Zach Hyman.
Yeah. And I mean, part of the Oilers love, at least on my end, is like Connor and Leon have the best friendship of all time. And I don't see Connor and Nikita Kucherov having the same buddy-buddy relationship. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just don't see that.
Yeah, I mean, like, Pete, you're on that Amazon doc where you saw these two guys who, they're cute little besties, but like Draisaitl's also sort of a competitive psycho. Like we were looking at his points per game. Regular season, he's 1.2 points per game. Postseason, he's almost 1.5. It's like 1.46 or something. And in that Amazon doc, you saw some of the reactions to losing, and Draisaitl's right there giving him the thigh tap when things are going rough. Like you see Kucherov in the All-Star game, like, wearing gum boots on the ice and kicking pucks around. Like, I don't think Connor would be as attached to someone, like Kucherov as he is Draisaitl.
Sorry to stat correct you. The three guys. Cody Ceci also was a bestie in that. They focused on only the players they covered and Cody Ceci, because Cody Ceci could not be left out, and that's why we love him. Sean, I want to go to you. What did you said before the show? Like, you wonder how much really would have changed if that happened.
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't really considered much like the relationship part of it. I think there's probably a certain amount of like drive that Draisaitl provides Leon, or that Connor, that Kucherov doesn't. But like at the end of the day, I don't know that I don't think the Oilers have a cup because of it. Like I don't think it would have changed all that much.
I bet the Lightning still get those cups though.
Yeah, I think so. I also think Kucherov fights Mark Spector at some point. I think we might we've missed out on great drama there.
Oh no, but does Gene change Kucherov?
I don't know. I don't know if it's possible. Cooch is Cooch. I don't know if he's changeable.
I feel like Bob would have incredible stories. Just like, and then Kucherov said to me, "Stop, something outrageous."
If you got into the Taskmaster episode where the task is make this guy laugh, and it's just a miserable person, and they have to find a way to make him laugh.
I've
that
seen
is
that.
literally the task.
Like, cheer this
that
guy
would
up.
be Gene trying to make Nikita Kucherov laugh, like doing all these crazy stunts, and he'd be like, "No."
So now we're doing this. Now we're doing our show, which is like we did 2 minutes on like what would have happened on the ice, but then it gets to how would the Oilers broadcast be different if Leon Draisaitl was. But I'll tell you what, I know that Leon famously was so pissy that one time. Those broadcasters love Leon Draisaitl.
Oh, yeah.
They like
goes both ways too.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. We're not talking about one of the teams from New York, but we can talk about the other team from New York. Which would you rather be, the New York Rangers or, say, a different team from New York that also fucking sucks?
That is not the Islanders.
Yeah, not the Islanders. Sorry.
That's the
Gotta
best
be more
thing
specific.
Like, one doesn't even exist.
I've got like such extensive Islanders ties. Like I literally am not allowed to say that I would ever choose the Rangers. The Rangers also feel like we're waiting for the explosion, right? The plane is in full spiral. We're kind of waiting for them to hit the ground. Like the Islanders kind of feel semi-salvageable to me. They got Barzal back. They got Pelech back. Lamoriello at some point is going to exit. I don't know. I feel like the Islanders have more stability there right now and some decent players. So listen, I feel obligated to say the Islanders. It's not pretty. You don't want to be either of them, really.
Okay, but what if there was another team from New York that we weren't allowed to talk about?
Yeah, what
and
if we
they
don't-
also fucking suck?
What if we don't know about all that?
Are we talking Devils or Rangers? The discussion we're going to have here.
So I
Rangers
love that Justin also is refusing to acknowledge the one of the teams from New York.
Yeah, I can't tell if he's like out what chaosing us to be like.
No, really, the Sabres aren't. They're irrelevant. They're just not even a discussable team. It's like what are they? 13 years into this now. They got no good players. The owner says the bad people are staying. Nothing's going to happen. They're just going to be a piñata.
What do you think was said? We haven't even talked about this with you, Sean. Like, what was said? Terry Pegula famously talked to the team before the game last night, and 19 seconds into the game, they got scored on, and their goalie is good. How did he make it worse? How did things get worse?
I tweeted out that exact thing last night. Is that I wanted a word-for-word transcript on what happened, and there was plenty of good responses. One of which included he just went in there and said, "I like turtles," and just it is a lot of that same like the "Who are you guys again?" That was what Terry asked his players. Yeah, I don't think it was whatever it was clearly didn't work.
Well, I think there's nothing more frustrating than when you're a smart person and someone tries to gaslight you. When someone comes in and says, "We got it in here. Everything we need is in this room." And it's like, no, we don't. Like, that's not inspiring effort. Like, look around. I know Terry doesn't follow the game all that close, but no, we don't. So I think, yeah, that would be like disheartening. I could see you coming out and being like, so they just sentence us to another 5 years of this or whatever it is. I don't think that would inspire anyone.
If you had the power to send like FEMA aid to one team in the Eastern Conference,
Pete's having a good show.
who would you send it to? Because there's like at least half a dozen candidates that you could send that aid to.
Just like Trump throwing paper towels to the Sabres. Just like clean it up. Clean up what's happening in here. Yeah, no, the Sabres are a pretty clear vote, are they not? Is there another suggestion?
I mean, yeah, like there's
Predators.
You could talk. No, that's Eastern. I'm saying Eastern
Oh.
Conference. I guess like we could open it up league wide. That becomes a bigger discussion. But like I'm even thinking about like Detroit. It's one of those teams that's just toiling in mediocrity and definitely needs some help. The team that I'm not allowed to talk about from Buffalo.
You know who gets screwed here?
Who?
Is the Senators. Because
Well, we're going to talk about the Senators later. I don't think they need the help.
that's what I'm saying. Like right this minute, we are doing we're doing FEMA aid.
Yeah.
And Senators, you don't currently apply, and you're like, oh, what? Because like you're just outside of that bracket, and they're gonna be like, yo, wait 3 weeks. We're gonna need that so bad. You know that we generally always need it. We just don't need it this second, so they'll get screwed.
Yeah, I mean, I guess right now it's probably between like I wouldn't throw Montreal in that category because like I don't know how many people expected them to be very good.
I
but
like this rebuild so far.
like Detroit, would they be in consideration here?
Pittsburgh?
Yeah, that's a good one.
I think Detroit and Ottawa are both like when the government announces they're giving out checks to everyone making below 75 grand and you're making 76. Like they just don't quite qualify for the aid here. Detroit last year tied for a playoff spot, lost in tiebreaker. Ottawa is technically in a playoff spot. Like to qualify for aid, you have to have no hope and no hope in the near future. And to me, both those teams feel like they've recently had some hope or have some in the future. So I guess Sabres for me are just did you, DJ, you said you liked Montreal where they're at right now?
It's odd that I like the teams that, with the exception of the other New York team that we don't talk about that played the Canadiens last night, I like the teams that are at the bottom of their respective divisions right now. Like, I like the Blue Jackets. Good returns on that for me. I like the Canadiens. I'm sure there are Canadiens fans who don't like the Canadiens, but they're kind of what I expected them to be, endearing.
Yeah. For me, it's like, when you're a franchise and your whole plan is, we have prospects coming, I promise, I think you're screwed. Like you have to try to win some hockey games at some point, and I don't think it's good for the development of your players when it's like, just wait, they're coming. Because every team has some guys coming, and when they don't quite live up to the hype, you're Anaheim. Remember like this Sam Steele, Max Jones rebuild they did? And like now it's, they're doing it again. Maybe they're going to try to turn it around here. But Montreal, I just worry about because it's like Lane Hudson's awesome. You better hope the other guys are too. Otherwise, it's a big hole to climb out of.
So, Justin, I agree with that. And it's why I like what the Sharks did, which is where, I know you got to hit the cap floor, but they went out and they were like, hey, we're putting together a hockey team. Which players we would like Tyler Toffoli on this team. We're going to sign him. But the other side of that is if it goes wrong, or it doesn't go as well as you'd think, you are a team that we love, but it's not so hot right now, the Chicago Blackhawks, because they are doing exactly what you talked about, which is hit free agency like a team hitting free agency, not like, hey, we have spots for all these guys. No, let's get Teravainen, let's get Taylor Hall. I know that Taylor Hall was a trade, but you know what I'm talking about. So it's not always so much nicer. It can just be costlier, and then you're asking more questions of why doesn't this work?
But Chicago might as well went out and got Mark Messier. You can't just get guys who were leaders. You need guys who are still good. And I think, San Jose can make the case that a guy like Toffoli still has some effectiveness. So I'm actually writing an article today. I like that St. Louis is like, no, we want Cam Fowler. I understand we're not going to win a cup, but the mushy middle is so mushy. If we get a little better, maybe we're the team that sneaks into playoffs and gets some playoff games and gets our young prospects in games that matter and helps them develop. So I like teams that are saying, yeah, we're probably not going to win a cup, but we're trying to get better because it's hard, man. It's hard to climb out of those depths once you're down there. And, the team that shall not be named is can attest to that right now.
Well, my theory on St. Louis is that they watched about a quarter of a season's worth of Ryan Suter in the year of our Lord 2024, and they were like, who can we go get to so that we don't have to do this as much anymore? Where do you view St. Louis at this point in time? Because they're a weird team for me. I can't really pinpoint them. They might be a playoff team, but I wouldn't bank on it. But what have you seen from them that maybe you like or dislike heading towards the playoffs under Jim Montgomery?
Doug Armstrong rules. He's my favorite GM in the league. He traded, was it Paul Stastny in a year they had a chance to win the cup, and Kevin Shattenkirk in a year they had a chance to win a cup because their contracts were expiring and he didn't want to get no assets for them, didn't think they could re-sign them. So that was bold. Then he looks at Edmonton this offseason, couple of offer sheets, bold, gets a couple of guys. They have 5 first-round picks playing either in the minors or juniors that they're going to have in the next year or two. So I love the idea that it may not be this year, but we have a culture of trying to win. We just tried to win a cup. We're going to try to be competitive this year. We do have guys coming like Montreal or whatever other team, but they're going to have to make an NHL team. They're not just going to get handed a spot because they're prospects on the way. So I think I really like the idea that, they won a cup and had to rebuild a bit, but they are actually on the way back up. So St. Louis may not be a playoff team. They may be, but I at least like where they're at in their cycle and their plan here.
Speaking of teams that are trying to win and kind of building and supplementing through free agency, the Nashville Predators, Won last night. Big shutout win. They still do not have 10 wins on the season. Was there any part of you that was like, this is bad work by Nashville over the offseason, and like, what is happening, and is it fixable?
Well, I would say last season when I was watching Nashville go on their 3,000-0 run or whatever it was, I was the lone defiant person being like, this is not a good team. I don't understand. Like, this to me is like playing roulette and it coming up red 18 times in a row. It's like, oh, they're doing it on Colton Sissons and Tommy Novak. Like, to me, to look at that and be like, oh, this is a team that's this close. We just need Jonathan Marchessault. That's the misread. Not that Stamkos isn't good or that Marchessault isn't good or whatever else. It's that the team you were bringing him into was not that good. I thought they greatly overachieved last year, and that was the misread. So I'm shocked they're as bad as they are. I thought they'd be one of those wild card playoff teams, and maybe they still will be. But yeah, to me, I was not a Preds believer last year when they were red hot.
Pete, give us your work on the Ottawa Senators.
The Ottawa Senators.
They are hot.
They are extremely hot. In the month of December, they're currently on a 4-game win streak. They've won 7 of their last 10. They have the 3rd best points percentage in December, outscoring opponents 17-7 at 5-on-5, and are allowing the fewest goals per game. Big part of that, the biggest part of that, Linus Ullmark has won his last 6 starts, 972 save percentage with 2 shutouts. They've given up 9 total goals in their last 7 games. 3 of those came in a game started by Anton Forsberg, who let up 3 goals on 12 shots. So, like, Linus Ullmark is saving the Ottawa Senators. Is that sustainable? Do you believe in the Ottawa Senators if Linus Ullmark is a Vezina or even close to it caliber goaltender?
Yeah, well, first off, shout out to the production value of your show, having boards and flashbacks. This is really high end. But yes, Linus Ullmark to me is going to be the difference maker for this team because I think the East kind of sucks. Like I look down that, you look at sort of who's close there, who's going to get into that final wild card spot. Like the Rangers can't lose enough. The Islanders are stagnant as hell. It's like, who's any good? One team gets a Vezina performance from a goalie, and it's like, sure, they're going to be the team that gets in. But I will say this. I do believe that to separate yourself in this league, to actually be competitive, you need the elite game breakers. And so all these teams that have prospects on the way, it looks to me like Ottawa's actually became that. Like, Stützle is elite to me. He is a total difference maker. Tkachuk is a 40-goal guy who'll punch you in the face. Like, Sanderson looks really good. He goes back on pucks and no one touches him. He's like Mike Vick back there. So they do have some guys who are elite difference makers. And so, yeah, few guys that are great and a great goalie. I think they are good enough to get in. The rest of the team is absolutely average, but you can say that of all those teams around there.
Okay, so they are not overtaking, I would say, like they're not overtaking the Lightning, but they could overtake the Bruins. And I think that on the balance of the season, I've liked the Senators more than I've liked the Bruins this season.
I mean, to Justin's point, like the Senators right now have something going extremely right. What is going extremely right for the Bruins? Nothing.
Joe Sakic from Medford.
The only thing that's gone extremely right for the Bruins in the last month or so is their schedule. They've just played a bunch of horrible teams.
Pavel Zacha's an overtime merchant. How many times do we need to say this, Peter?
I mean, it is worth pointing out, though, that like the teams that Ottawa has played recently have not been amazing either. I do want to run down that list because I was looking at it and I was like, that could explain it. Like last bunch of games, Kraken, no. Penguins, no, definitely not.
Penguins haven't been horrible of late.
They're not a good team.
They are the Penguins.
The Carolina Hurricanes, they shut out the Hurricanes, so credit to them. That's impressive victory.
Big boy win.
They beat the Ducks. They lost to the Islanders. They beat the Predators. Great, congratulations. And they beat the Red Wings. So, and then they lost to the Ducks before that. That's the month of December.
Only beat who you play?
We have a show. Yeah, we have a show to do today, Pete. We can only talk about what the Senators are doing right now. We want to talk about the Senators losing to the Knights in a couple of weeks. We'll do that then. Although Senators famously are hot. I got some numbers for you on that. I'm just kidding. I'm just going to repeat what you said. But I'm not so in on the Senators that I say, yeah, playoff team, but I am so in on Justin's point, which is the East kind of sucks. If there were a mushy middle of the league, it would be the 2nd through 4th spots in each of these divisions. No, the Metro.
Islanders are league average. Islanders are the defining league average team for me. They're fine.
Yeah. But Hurricanes, I love. Capitals, God, do I love. But if you want to go in the Atlantic, and Florida is Florida. Toronto, I believe in this season, but we'll see what ends up happening with their goaltending with Stolarz out for the time being. Tampa, better than we thought, but we're not talking about world beaters once you get into even the Toronto, the Tampa, the Boston, and then as you get into the wild cardish stuff, the Ottawa, the Philadelphia.
The last 2 seasons have made me wish so badly that there were 4 wild card spots available to the entire league, not 2 to each conference, because last year I would have taken it away from the Washington Capitals and given it to, I don't even remember at this point who would have been in contention for the Western Conference, but I can guarantee they would deserve it more than the Washington Capitals did. And this year, I think that I would give 3 spots to the Western Conference again.
Yeah, and that's completely reasonable. I know the playoff format has been a source of much frustration. The one thing that I wish is that the salary cap hadn't been flat for the past 4 years, so you could have some good teams. Like Tampa Bay has had to trade away, Palat and Killorn and Gord and Goodrow and Coleman, and we've punished them so severely for getting good players. It's been absurd. And so you end up with this league of teams where if any of these teams had a hot run from a goaltender for 6-7 weeks, they could win a Stanley Cup. And then I hate that because I hate sitting here and going, congrats to whatever, Washington, Nashville, whoever it ended up being, because they outsmarted the league. It's like, no, everyone was average because of the cap and they got a good run from goaltending. I don't want that. So I'm ready for the cap to shoot up NBA style.
Justin Bourne, we love your willingness to come on this show. We would love your continued willingness to come on this show because this conversation has been exactly what we like to do. Goof around and have a slightly smarter person than us.
Well, I'm happy to come on anytime. It's been fun.
All right. You could read his book down and back, and you can find him anywhere. Sportsnet, he's the best. Justin Bourne, thank you, my friend. We hope to talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Oh, fantastic. What a good conversation. Sean, how many videos we got out of that? We got Sens. We got the mushy middle of the NHL. We got the Sens one, I think, is a good one.
Just post it twice.
We got at least. Oh, could we do that?
No, probably. I mean, we could.
We're always asking, what should this title be? What should the thumbnail be? What does Sean say? Por quiero no los dos?
Por qué no los dos?
Por qué? Por quiero.
You're just, you know French. You don't know Spanish.
I'm a French guy. I also know, this is said about me in North America, I know slates. Boys, with your permission, can I grade a slate?
Let's grade a slate.
Let's try to grade a slate. There are 5 games this evening. The Flyers visit the Red Wings in the Mushy Middle Bowl, 7 p.m. Eastern Conference. That is let's go friend of the podcast's father, Frank Baith.
Oh, yeah.
That's a Frank Baith Bowl. That's a Shane Gostisbehere Bowl. That is a Darian Hatcher Bowl. That's going to be on TNT and Max. I am getting better at looking at the broadcast notes. It's also a Paul Coffey Bowl. Shout out Paul Coffey. Maple Leafs at the Stars, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Conference. I think that there's 2 obvious ones here.
Mm-hmm. 2 headliners?
What do you got?
Oh, you're saying...
Oh, no, Bulls.
Bulls. Got it.
Maple Leafs at Stars. What do you got?
That is an Ilya Lyubushkin Bowl.
That's an Ilya Lyubushkin Bowl. It's not who I had. I had 2 that stood out to me. But yes, it's an Ilya Lyubushkin Bowl. A player we discuss a lot on this show.
Who?
Not as much this year, but we did a lot last year. He was traded to one of these teams last year, and then he signed with one of these teams in the offseason.
Max Domi Bowl?
Tanev.
It's a Chris Tanev Bowl.
Oh,
Very
yeah,
good,
right.
Sean.
It is also a Robertson Bowl.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
The Robo brothers.
Is Nick Robertson? Is Nick Robertson still on the Maple Leafs?
NHL tweeted it out as if he is. So that's
okay.
kind of what I was basing it off.
Yeah,
of.
but the NHL always tweets out lists. They're like, here are the best here's our top 20 defensemen in the NHL. And you're like,
No, that's
Shane
NHL
Gostisbehere.
Network.
Oh, yeah, that's right. NHL Network.
NHL Network defiantly does not know puck.
How have we not done, like, agree with this NHL Network list and just put out absolute bullshit things? That would be such easy engagement. It's an Ed Belfour Bowl was my other obvious one. A sneaky one, it's an Eric Lindros Bowl.
Wow.
And
gross.
A fun one, it's an Andrew Raycroft Bowl.
How is everything an Andrew Raycroft Bowl?
I know, man. My memory of that whole thing
was that it didn't work out very quickly and he was out of the league, but apparently not.
He won the Calder, my favorite Bruins team, and then did like another year after the lockout. They sold extremely high on him, traded him for freaking Tuukka Rask. What a trade. And didn't work out in Toronto. Bye-bye.
Yeah, that's how I thought it went, but apparently not.
He's out here doing Dallas Stars Bowls. The Panthers at the Wild, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. That is a good game, brothers.
Oh, yeah.
You're making a face, but...
No, I'm making a face trying to think of the bowl possibilities.
Well, it's a Thomas Vanek Bowl. Big show for Thomas Vanek. It's a Jose Theodore Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew Raycroft famously outdueled him in Game 2 of that 2003-04 postseason first round. Canucks at Utah HC, 10 p.m. Eastern. How about an Ian Cole Bowl? Pete, how do you feel about that? It's an Ian Cole Bowl.
Stop trying to make Ian Cole happen.
Ian Cole's already happening. Stop trying to stop it from happening.
Yeah.
So handshake Ian Cole, handshake Buffalo Sabres. No.
Worth talking about whether you like it or not.
No.
I love saying that it's an Ian Cole Bowl because I simultaneously, from the corner of one eye, because as you know from the beginning of the show, you're both to my left, I see one young man light up and I see one slightly older man like, I
love Ian Cole.
It's an Ian Cole Bowl because he played 78 games for the Vancouver Canucks last year. And now, did you know, Pete, Ian Cole calls Utah home. And to wrap up the slate at 10 p.m. Eastern in the United States and Canada, the Jets at the Ducks in a Jacob Trouba Bowl, a Chris Kunitz Bowl, a Nate Thompson Bowl, and how about this one? A little cherry on top, a Steve Shields Bowl.
Nice.
Boys,
yeah, this is a nice little slate in the middle.
This is a nice little Wednesday slate.
What is the opposite? What's like the opposite of like being bookmarked? Or bookended, sorry.
Bookended?
No, the opposite of being bookended.
Bookended.
Bookended derogatorily?
No, you know what I'm saying? Like there's but like one side is, it's like saying what's the opposite of the end, the beginning. So like a bookend, like bookends are...
No, bookend I thought was like beginning and end.
Bookends are, I believe that they're like all bookends are those weights that you
They're like
put.
the things you see in the library that will hold up the end of the books.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
get
like,
what you're saying, Pete.
But like when somebody says that something is bookended, they're talking
like the
about at
things
the
on the
front
ends.
and at the back.
Yes. So that's what I'm saying. I'm saying like the opposite of a bookend is a bookend.
I get it, but I'm saying like
more the term.
feel
What's
like-
the opposite of the phrase bookend?
yeah, like what's the
Like
opposite of
you're
the
looking
mushy
for
middle?
you're looking for an Oreo.
Oh,
Where the good stuff is in the middle.
Because the
Okay.
strongest part of this slate is very clearly in the middle, and the weakest part are the bookends.
Chad, yes. Chad says Pete has this right. This was a case in which we were both right.
Yeah, you just didn't.
We were
you
talking
were on
about
different
we were
pages.
talking about it. We were looking at it from different angles.
Yes.
I thought you like literally meant like the noun, the bookend. What is anyway? Books would be, somebody said, is the opposite.
Oh,
Yeah, I guess-
this is a strong book slate.
I like saying it's books, like saying something's nails. Like that's books.
Yo, nice.
I mean, who knows?
Oh,
Not to
that's
toot my own
books.
horn. Who knows more about books, all caps, than this guy?
It's true.
The most famous backdrop of the pandemic. People were stealing it. They did it on the Today Show.
You know
Chad-
what this?
No idea. What
During the
you're talking
pandemic, everybody was doing like their at-home setups, and they would just do their remote setup in front of their bookshelves. This became the most popular thing happening during the pandemic. DJ didn't have a bookshelf, so instead he took a cardboard piece of paper or sign,
Piece of cardboard.
put it on his wall, and it just wrote books.
about. Decent.
Just symbolically his books.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it was a real hit. Yeah, somebody said like DJ's COVID decor.
Yes.
Oh, I miss those days.
That's books. That sounds It has too much has the energy of like that's cheeks. Like I guess it would be the opposite of that's cheeks. That's books.
That's
strong.
nails.
Sean's good at like little catchphrasey stuff. Famously, Utah was a soda. That's my favorite thing he ever said. We have an overdue super chat. I apologize, Sean. I know you've thrown that up a couple times. It's from ZTC. If you talk to Taylor Hall again, can you bring up that in Trente Trente he tweeted that he does yearly Entourage binges? I think that's so crazy and need to know if it's still happening. That's
Taylor
books.
Hall, according to Taylor Hall, has grown several IQ points over the years. I hope
We have that from Taylor Hall, though, as you noticed.
right before
Source
he
Taylor Hall.
like immediately said, "Go find my old tweets. You could cancel me, but please don't." I would hope that there is a certain level of IQ that prevents you from doing yearly Entourage rewatches, because I've watched Entourage. You've watched Entourage. Sean, have you watched Entourage?
Yes.
I think that it's something that everybody should do at one point or
I thought
another.
you never watched Entourage.
No, I watched it.
When did you end up
I
going
stopped.
back? Oh,
No, I stopped watching it.
Good move. It got bad.
There has to be a point where like there is no return value for Entourage. The only reason to watch Entourage when you hit a certain point is to just see what happens with these characters. Once you know what happens, why the hell you going back? That show stinks, baby. Also, I did send you both there's a new show from the creator of Entourage,
Doug Ellen.
Doug Ellen. There's some Entourage stars involved in that new show. Drama's in it, E's in it, and it looks like the washed up Olympics.
Perfect way to describe it.
It is a show about E's. What's his real name? He's a New York Islanders fan.
Eric Conley,
Right?
right?
He's doing a show about his podcast network.
It's not Eric. Eric is his name on the show. Something Conley.
Something like that. He's doing a show about his podcast network and about how it's about to go under. And they need to save the podcast network. And they have a new podcast featuring
Johnny Drama?
Charlie Sheen.
Oh, Kevin
Charlie
Conley, by the
Sheen
way.
is going to save blank Connolly's podcast network.
And the Charlie Sheen's whole character is I'm broke and desperate for money.
Yes. It features Drama, Charlie Sheen,
Drama
Jamie Lynn
being
Siegler.
the exact same.
Oh, so like really the whole gang.
Yes, there's also Martin Sheen in it.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's like a few other people you're like, wow.
Yeah, there's
This
a couple
person.
other names I remember that I noticed that I can't remember. Drama's playing the exact same character.
They're all playing themselves.
Yeah.
Sabrina in the chat says, I thought dudes love Entourage. It is complicated. I vividly
Can't
remember.
generalize dudes like that.
Yeah, I vividly remember the first time I saw Entourage. It was I was sitting in my friend's basement. The second season was premiering, and a few of the guys were excited. They were like, "Oh yeah, Entourage is on now," and I was stunned. Whatever year this was, let's say this was like 2007, maybe, so around then. I was appalled by the language. I was appalled by just the tone of the show. And this was a time when we didn't even have the phrase like, you can't say that anymore, or what, like, this was still the Wild West, and I was shocked that this was on TV.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think everybody at one point would.
And then I watched the next like 10 seasons.
I think everybody at one point would be interested in Entourage, but everybody also should age out of Entourage.
Yeah,
And if you
that's
don't
exactly.
age out of Entourage, that is a you problem.
It did
Yeah.
eventually become a thing, though, similar to The Office, where I know some people like don't love Michael Scott, but the thing with Michael Scott is he is such an outrageous person. You're not
Right.
like, oh,
Yeah.
thank God Michael Scott doesn't know how to be the boss to like a gay person, you know?
Yeah. So the synopsis to Ramble On, which is this new show, is it follows established stars looking to reinvent their careers and also aspiring performers looking to make their own name. So like the washed up Olympics thing would make sense because that's like the basically the plot of the show. But yeah, like I said, Kevin Connolly is his name. Charlie Sheen, Jamie Lynn Sigler, Emmanuel Chikri. Say what up, Sloan. You've got Martin Sheen, John C. McGinley.
Oh, he had to be there.
Yep. Mark Cuban. And yeah, I think that's Kimiko Glenn's in it. I like Kimiko Glenn, I'll be honest. So a little bit disappointed to see her involved in this, but I'm not going to be watching that show, and nobody should be watching.
I would like to defend Sabrina in the chat, who is getting canceled deeply. People saying don't put dudes in a box. That's okay to say. Just a nice little direction. We got Sabrina is canceled now. We've got dudes are like onions. We've got R.I.P. Sabrina. Here's the thing. Sabrina didn't know. Now Sabrina knows. My faith as a person and my faith in humanity says Sabrina knows better. Sabrina's going to do better.
That's right.
So we love you, Sabrina. Thank you for horrifically judging us. And
it's a big growth episode.
Yeah, you know what that is? It's growth. Can I sneak in another A this week?
You're giving this an A?
This might be the most controversial A I've given out.
That's a tough A. I don't think this is an A.
No headliner. Yeah. Fuck. Can I take back A's? When
you didn't give it an A. You didn't give it an A. You asked if you could.
Much like Sabrina, I threw a thought out there and then was shamed by you two.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm giving this an A-, but this has good stuff. Leafs at Stars I like. Panthers at Wild I like. I love that Wild games are no longer automatic skips. It gives us one more team to watch. We now talk about 5 teams. Canucks at Utah, I like a lot. Ian Cole's
going to go crazy, dude.
What's that?
Ian Cole is going to go crazy.
Yes, dude.
Also, Utah Hockey Club just posted a video of Michael Kesselring, who's also known as Michael Kessel King, being gifted a crown. So he has a crown in his locker now.
Damn, that's great. Well, the Utah Hockey Club should have a crown they give out every game to Michael Kesselring.
Yeah.
At the end of every game, no matter what happened, they present Michael Kesselring with a crown.
But they got to do like the whole like, Veggie. It's like did a great job backstopping us tonight. Big performance. 35 saves. Crown goes to Kesselring.
Yes.
Speech after, and then speech every game. Maybe,
but it's got to go to the Veggie's. Got to give the speech also about Michael Kesselring.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
Before we get out of here, I want to ask everybody to hit that like button right below the video player. That is the like spike. Please hammer that button. Also, hammer the subscribe button if you haven't yet done so. DJ, you want to tell them who's going to be on the show tomorrow?
Tomorrow on the show, I don't know.
Not me.
Oh, yes. The always clever and creative
Pete Blackburn will not be on the show.
Pete will not be there. We will have Sarah Siv. Sarah was pushing very heavily for Tony DeAngelo to be on instead of her because she likes chaos, and we love Sarah.
So we will have Sarah Siv and Tony DeAngelo.
No, we will not. Just everybody relax. On that note, I am getting bullied for reversing course because I said A. I asked if I give it an A, then I didn't give it an A. So someone's saying, hey, it's an A. I think y'all will regret not giving this an A.
That sounds very threatening, but I like it.
Let's keep an eye on that. Okay?
Yes.
It's going to be a great one. Pete, have so much fun in Montreal.
I will.
All right. Bye, friends. Talk to you soon.
We all silly like the mayor.